My radar man picked up a target about 30 miles off the bow, and I homed the airplane in on it, put everybody at battle stations, and he indicated that it was moving quite rapidly from right to left, and it was obviously a ship, so we were hell-bent to get in there and get it. Well, I dropped down to 100 feet. The weather was almost 0-0. It was less than a quarter-mile visibility, rain, raining like the devil, and just terrible weather. We got into about a quarter of a mile from the ship, and my little, just about a quarter mile, my co-pilot, I was flying totally instruments.
Somebody had to keep their head down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my co-pilot was sitting there, and I kept telling him to keep his eye open, let me know when he sees anything. So he called and he said, I see a ship out there, and she's long and she's moving fast. And I said, okay, good, let's go get him. So we homed in on him, and about a quarter of a mile, all of a sudden, he opened up with his anti-aircraft fire. And the tracer bullets came right directly between myself, the pilot, and the co-pilot, right down the cockpit.
Oh, really? They entered the...
It split that cockpit just like somebody had stood there with a knife and said, we're going to cut that plane in half. Anyway, these anti-aircraft shells came, and they were 40 millimeters, I'm sure, came right down through the cockpit. And of course, the bottom of the PBM is all gasoline. The whole hull of the PBM is gasoline. We flew 18-hour missions in those airplanes.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So we were full of gasoline, and those tracer bullets from the anti-aircraft fire ignited the fuel cells. And that airplane turned into a raging blowtorch.
Golly. And you're still here.
Yeah, and have been for a long time. But I'm one of the very few. I lost 11 of my crewmen in that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we had her crew of 13 on that PBM.
You're one of the survivors.
I'm one of two survivors. The co-pilot and I survived. And the only reason the two of us survived is that the bullets, as they went back, ignited the aft end of the airplane and disintegrated, I guess, probably everybody in the back end of the airplane. And the pilot and co-pilot were up forward. We were ahead of the flames. And just about the time we got to the ship, I released my bomb load, and the controls went completely slack, and we plunged into the water on the other side of the plane, of the ship. This was at midnight, incidentally.
Well, you know, I was thinking all along that it might be a friendly ship.
No.
But you knew right away it was not friendly.
Well, no, we were very, very adequately briefed so that we knew that there were no friendly ships anywhere in the area.
Okay.
Anything that was moving in the area was fair game.
Japanese.
Yeah. So my co-pilot and I, the bow of the cockpit of the airplane went in one direction, the rest of the airplane went in another direction, and I came to about 30, 40 feet underwater, and all that training that I had been maligning through flight school came into being, because boy, I was knocked out on impact.
Remember what they told you, you know?
No, I didn't remember a thing. I was knocked out on impact, and at that depth down there, instinct. I mean,
You're still fastened in your seat.
Yes.
Oh, the wreckage sunk.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
I was sinking in the bow, in the cockpit of the airplane, and just my reflex, my training. I undid the belt, undid my shoulder harnesses, reached up, opened the hatch, and started up, and then I pulled the rip cords on my life jacket.
Your flotation gear.
All with no thought whatsoever. It was just absolutely sheer reflex action.
This is what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, and I'm
Yep.
to get to the surface.
Yep. And I came to the surface, half drowned, because I couldn't make it up holding my breath that far, and got up on the surface, and of course the whole area was burning with fuel, and the oil from the ship, the plane had gone down. It was just a big raging inferno. And I kept splashing the flames away as best I could, calling out to see if anybody else, and my co-pilot answered. And he said, "I'm fine." He said, "I'm in good shape." And I said, "Well, I can't do anything. I'm ready to call it quits. Can you come over and help me?" He swam over and pulled me into and we found a life raft, which was a kind of another, you say the Lord was with me. We found a life raft that had the cover half burned off of it, and yet the raft itself had not even been scorched.
And it still floated.
It was still floating.
As our friend Paul Harvey used to say, "I know the rest of the story."
Yes. Well, the crash at sea, of course, was the beginning of the story.
Yes.
And when we came to the surface, Bob Bunge, my co-pilot, was in good shape, and he pulled me into the raft and pumped me out. And we got.
You had a lot of water in your lungs.
I was almost drowned,
Yeah.
And he pumped me out to the point where I could function. And the two of us then paddled this life raft around all through this fire, trying to find any survivors. And,
But this time the enemy vessel had been. It was
pitch by midnight, and he came through there and was heading down south.
Yeah.
And we looked around, and we spent an inordinate amount of time. But we found nothing.
Do you think that the enemy ship had radar and they were
Oh,
tracking?
in fact, we determined later that it was a brand new class Japanese destroyer with radar fire control. First time in the Pacific that they had encountered
That's
radar
the
fire
reason
control.
they hammered you right down the middle of the carpet.
Right down the middle.
Okay.
Bob pulled me into the life raft, and as I say, we paddled around, found no survivors whatsoever. And by the time we'd made about 3 circles around and about 2 circles or 2 crossings through, not any bodies, nothing. So we decided we better get the heck out of there, get out of that fire, and get away from the scene, because we knew that destroyer was still around in the area.
Sure.
And we got off and we paddled off and we got into the blackness about several thousand yards out of the glare of the flyer. And sure enough, that Jap destroyer came turning right around. He made a 180-degree turn, came around, and came back through that fireball, flank speed, which is in Navy terms, that's full speed. And
He was gonna. If there was something out there, they were gonna run over it.
he was going to churn up and grind up everything that was left. He wanted to make sure there were no survivors. And he went back north, made another U-turn, and came back down again through. And Bob and I are sitting over there just shaking, hoping that he'd go on by and not see us.
And of course, if you'd have been captured, you would probably have been executed.
On the spot.
Yep.
On the spot. Yeah.